Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the premiere of There Are No Goodbyes, the second feature film from Lyons Productions. This film is a story about love, it's a story about mystery, it's a story about the quest for direction and meaning during a complicated time, to say the least, in one man's life. I think as you watch this film, as you see in all great films, you may recognize a part of yourself in the characters on the screen. And that is a testament to the quality of filmmaking that we have here in the region, and the quality of this filmmaker, John C. Lyons. At the conclusion of the movie, we will have a question and answer session with the cast and crew of the film, so be sure to stick around for that, and be sure to take home with you as well a copy of There Are No Goodbyes, or Lyons Productions' first feature film, Schism, which you can find in the lobby. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the film's director and writer, Mr. John C. Lyons.
Hello, my name is John. I want to thank Jim for the introduction. I want to thank everyone in the cast and crew for doing it. Don't even. This is the best birthday present, being able to show you what we've all been working so hard on the last 3+ years. As Jim said, please stick around afterwards. We're going to bring up some of the main cast and crew for Q&A. And I'm going to keep the intro short because we have a lot to say afterwards. So thank you so much. Thanks for supporting independent film, and enjoy the show.
Thanks for sticking around, everyone. First, we begin with an introduction of the crew who is present. Let's begin first with the writer and director from Lyons Productions, John C. Lyons. Director of photography and producer, Dorota Swies. The master of the story, score, and props, Flatley.
Where's Michael Meyer? You're welcome.
Michael Meyer.
You're supposed to be up here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Meyer. Hey. As John, Michael Burns. Fenris, Frederick Williams. Jennifer Hooper as Raina. As I said, we have some microphones going around the audience. If you have a question, please just stand up or raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. I thought I would start us off with a question for the cast, really, but also I suppose this has a life of its own for the crew as well. But the filmmaking process can be pretty fragmentary. You go through and you're doing it scene by scene, not always in the order that it hits the film, unless John is a traditionalist and must go through chronologically. But he shakes his head no. So now that you've seen the film, maybe twice and maybe more, did you have a vision for it as it was being shot, as you were developing it, as you were carrying out your role for the cast? Did it turn out the way that you envisioned it?
Well, we shot all over the place, so it was like we actually shot up until about a month ago. We had certain little pieces that we had to shoot. So
We may not be done yet.
but it turned out quite. Yeah, it turned out quite like I pictured it to be. Like I read the script, and I mean, he added his own little touches to everything, which he does throughout. But yeah, it turned out just like I thought. Just like I thought it should.
Definitely the music made it all more beautiful, and that was quite unexpected. The music with that artwork just gave it that extra edge. It just blew me away in the end.
And I thought it turned out the way the script led and the Fenris character changed a little bit. We'll talk about that.
Well, I read the script, and it's different from being in a play, in a theater production, where you can see the whole production coming to fruition and taking shape. So it is different in that respect. Although I read the script, so I had some idea what it would be like. But it is different to just be only in 2 or 3 scenes, just be a small part of it. But it's so in that sense, it is different. But I thought it turned out, from what I envisioned from reading the script, I thought it turned out very well. I was very pleased with it.
Like Mike, I'm out of the theater. I've done theater for 21 years, I guess now. And their similarities are, I think, more like theatrical rehearsals when you do a movie. When you rehearse a play, you often will just do a scene or a couple scenes, and then as you put the play together, you eventually do the whole play, beginning to end. So the movie, because it is fragmented, you jump into places in the middle. I think the big challenge, not so much for someone like me with a smaller part, but for people with a bigger part, is to try to build the emotional crescendo that leads to the climax of the movie, when you might be doing the end of it as a second shot, and the first scene might take place halfway through the film. So I think you have to be able to understand the emotions you're supposed to have at a given point in the scene, even though the continuity of that scene may not be chronologically like it falls when we're actually doing it.
Yeah, I would just add all good points. We did, because of the seasons, we did generally shoot in order, I mean, as far as, winter, spring, summer. That's all kind of that. The title of the movie, There Are No Goodbyes. I guess it may allude to, as far as fate, and perhaps maybe you cannot escape and just turn your back on Fenris. Perhaps, maybe one interpretation.
Also, it's like something that picks up momentum. It just keeps rolling like a snowball. It just keeps picking up snow, and like the momentum, it's just, their bond is everlasting, and it just builds with age. So you can take a different route, but you're still gonna kind of be on some sort of path rather than sedentary. So there are no goodbyes in some way.
Well, the song that's at the end of the trailer, or at the end of the movie, it's actually called There Are No Goodbyes, and I wrote it, I think, about 10 years ago. And when we started putting the script together, we were looking for a title, and I knew that I wanted that song to be central. So I had a friend of mine, Casey Cabellis, who actually sang the vocals on the credits. She suggested it, but in the lyrics there are some things as well. So for all the people who stayed and listened and didn't rush out of here before the end of the film, then they're not going to leave a clue to the title as well.
Also maybe about Erie in the past, and how the past is always around. You can't quite say goodbye to history.
Hey Matt, you did such a nice job on this. Could you tell us what you're doing next?
I just got another lead role in a film we're going to be shooting up in Oil City at the end of May. It's a feature film, and that's my next project. It's titled Potential Leadership.
And Fred is also in this as well.
Hello. I felt like the black box in the movie had a more of a larger meaning than what some of us might have interpreted. Can you explain that?
The black boxes. Honestly, they were just, the importance of the black box is just the taxes. It basically just contained all the things that all of them need to do. And I guess if there's something maybe larger or deeper that you want to take away from it, kind of up to the individual, I guess. There's a lot of things in developing certain aspects of the film between John and myself that we didn't really talk too much about the different meaning of these things. We just kind of played out the story. So it's really open to interpretation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit. With Fenris came into town and he was on a mission. And, that mission that he's on, throughout the story, I guess Raina summed it up, okay, that he led her in the right direction. Well, Fenris has a lot of responsibility, and that part at the mall, when he was given all these tasks to do, well, those tasks led back to his family history also, okay, and we all have, at some point, an epiphany, okay? And some people call it an epiphany, some people call it the light turns on. Most of us call it maturity. And that's where Fenris was trying to conquer Oliver. And, and he didn't get ticked off. He was just at the mall, that scene in the mall where Fenris got into Oliver's face. Well, he was just trying to wake him up a little bit, that's all. That's all, just so that he would have an epiphany. And so, Raina summed it up there. He was a part of a bigger network anyway. That means that he had a lot of people that he's probably looking out for, and that's your interpretation. Okay, and being a part of a bigger organization, there's probably a lot of Fenrises out there doing the same thing. And that pretty much sums it up.
While we're on the topic of meaning and discovery, John, it seems like a lot of Lyons and productions from the shorts that you've done previously in Schism and here in There Are No Goodbyes, you've developed a lot of characters that seem to be on a quest for meaning, on a quest to find something more important, something larger, even back to hunting camp, right? So is that a conscious effort? Is that something that you're drawn to as an artist, as a filmmaker?
It's interesting you say that because earlier today we watched some of our earlier films that Andy, Dorota, and I have made back since 2004, and there are similar themes. I wouldn't say that consciously I'm thinking of necessarily tying those things together, but we always make movies about things that are affecting us at the time or something that we feel very strongly about, and it's interesting. Do you have any comment about that? It's obviously I'm drawn to the single character that's kind of on his own and kind of having an awakening sort of situation, taking control of his situation or embracing his situation. Good call.
Any other questions from the audience? A couple of hands in the back.
This is a question for John. I know you raised a bunch of money on, I don't remember the name of the site, it was Indiegogo. Is that exclusively what the budget for the movie was, or did you, also get it from other ways, maybe out of your pocket or other donations or something?
Yeah, he's referring to, for this film, well, we've always self-financed our own productions, from our own blood, sweat, and tears. And this time around, because we wanted to film this movie a little differently, we wanted to be more organic and kind of have the scenes be out in the real world, interacting with the elements and extras and, whatever happened to come by while we were filming. So there was some special equipment that we wanted to get. And I think it was Andy had the idea, why don't we try crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is when you start a campaign online and you tell people about your film that you want to make or whatever your project is. And you kind of list out some goals. And, if they donate or contribute to the campaign, then they get perks in return. And I know actually there's probably a bunch of you in the audience still that contributed. So first, let me say thank you very much. We had a goal to raise $5,000, which was not the whole budget, to get new equipment for the movie. And we raised about $5,600, which was awesome. So we got everything we needed and more. And because of that, we were able to make the movie the way we wanted to. So yeah, big thanks. And it wasn't the whole budget, but it was a great big bonus. Thank you.
We can take a question from the woman in the peach over here. She's been very patient.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say that the music complemented the film exquisitely. It was beautiful music. My question then is for Mr. Lyons, and it's kind of a two-part. One is, was this film entirely your idea? You wrote it completely yourself, basically?
Actually, the idea for the story is completely Andy's. He can maybe tell you a little bit of the background of how we came to the story. Andy came up with the story. I wrote the script, and we kind of bounced back and forth until we got the final script that we shot. But as far as the story, Andy.
This is on? Okay, very good. I've been working with John since 2004. I did a film called Honeycomb, and I helped work on the music for that. And then we did a short film called Bogo, and then he did his first feature, Schism, and Dorota were working on. He brought me in, and that was in 2008 when it was shown. And I wanted to work on another project with him, so I just kept coming up and throwing ideas at him. I mean, that's really, and eventually one, hit John and went, oh, okay, well, I like that. And then we went back and forth on it and really kind of shaped it into what it is now. But, it's a good dude to work with, so wanted to get something started.
The second part to my question is the significance of the scene in Ireland. Was that to signify the transformation of your main character?
The scene in Ireland was basically...
Yeah, when she puts the tube into the ground and you see a reverberation, and then the next scene shows your main character having a change and becoming alive. Was that the significance in that scene?
Correct, you did very well. That's the part of that scene, and I did make a calibration of that hero for humanity, and part of this was Oliver's decision to stand up for himself and express his opinion and follow the voice of heart. And
yeah, you got it.
You shot this film very differently than you've shot your previous films. So can you talk a little bit more about your process of how you decided to shoot and, just like a lot of film stuff. And I was enjoying
Yeah, that was Dorota and I, our director of photography, and myself. We wanted to, with Schism, we took a lot of time with setups. We had a giant lighting truck full of equipment, and we would set the scene up. It would take an hour or more. The actors would have to sit around and wait for us. Read the script the 100th time. And then the lighting would be perfect. We would go shoot that, then move the lights, shoot that, move the lights, shoot that. So this time we wanted it to feel really kind of documentary style, and kind of try and get into the characters' heads by making the shots more intimate and more personal. It was definitely a conscious effort to kind of have it organic. The scenes grow organically through the camera.
Just to show that everyone can be Oliver and Raina, because this kind of feel will be more personalized and separated. I much prefer this style, actually. It's much more naturalistic, and it, gave room for breath and spontaneity and a lot of interaction, a lot of pure interaction among the characters, among the actors. So definitely appreciated this, even though it was interesting to work on Schism with the whole production, and really it trained me well to be patient, and that's a valuable trait to learn. So, but I would love to work with John again on something similar to this.
I completely agree. That's where there's lights all on your face, and it's just, I don't know, it's not as intimate. It just was a word. This one was, it was just us sitting in a room with John and Dorota, and they would work with us right down to everything. So we got that intimate one-on-one with your director, and it was just a great experience.
I was wondering if you would put any thought on perhaps like a sequel or a spin-off of this movie, like perhaps the further missions of Fenris or some other minor character getting his own movie.
I think I see where you're going with this question, Sam. Actually, I keep teasing to Jennifer and Fred and Dorota that I would love to go over to overseas and film most of the movie overseas, and maybe cover Raina's story before she meets Matt, and maybe these two together. I think it could be maybe a little dark and twisted. I don't know. I keep floating that out there. I don't know. Or we could tell the baby story or something.
What was the biggest challenge making the movie?
Biggest challenge? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I imagine it would probably involve getting into, negotiating your way into different venues and different stores, and into the mall and whatnot. That was probably just preparation and organization was probably pretty difficult. But once you were there, everything was pretty easy, I imagine. But
yeah, that's actually nail on the head. It's just the organization, getting everything together. We filmed from January. The first thing we shot, we filmed in Europe in 2010. We finished everything in Europe, and then in 2011, I think with Fred, was the first thing we shot when the train's arriving. And then we filmed from January through July, and then like Matt said, we've done some additional filming, I think 2 or 3 times past that. So getting all of that organized, because everybody has jobs and everything else going on. So all the groundwork ahead of time is a lot of work, getting all the locations. But I have to say, filming in Erie and around this area is, Matt probably can attest to this more than any of us because he's worked in different places, but very easy, and people were very helpful, and people were wanting to help us on the crew. And once we got the ball rolling, we had a lot of support, and thank you, Erie, and everyone for helping us out.
Time for a few more questions.
So, if Andy was coming to you with a bunch of ideas and stuff like that. What was it about this one that finally caught your imagination?
I like the idea of it. It did start out as more of a kind of a straightforward love story, and then once we started we started researching kind of cults and like what kind of person could get involved, like what kind of mentality or personality could be drawn in to kind of doing these tasks, because it is quite a leap of faith. So what drew me into this was the whole idea of telling a love story, but doing it in a completely unique way, bringing in fate, purpose, destiny, free will, all of those questions, and then wrapping into that, which I very much wanted to, kind of making it a social commentary. So we really just kind of took the best ideas that we kept spitballing after the initial conversations, and it all fit well.
What do you think about the secret society angle?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I love that. Just showing, a peek, because Oliver, he's not a very significant guy in the world, and showing how we're all connected and there's this society going on behind the scenes. It was exciting to tackle something like that.
Well, a question for Matthew and Jennifer. Your interaction with one another throughout the film was so natural, so easy, very comfortable to watch. Was that a function of kind of just digesting the script and becoming so comfortable with that, or were you given the latitude to kind of act and make things happen?
Well, John wanted us to sort of get to know each other before we started filming, like me and Jennifer and just everybody in the cast. We would, go out and have the family functions together, and we just got comfortable, and everything just seemed to work great once we started filming.
And also, we're both very humble, both of us, so and we're both so appreciative and kind of starstruck just at this whole process. And we both, coming from the area, we shared a lot, we had a lot in common, and just the friendship just developed pretty naturally.
Excellent. Well, you all did a wonderful job. Let's hear it for the cast. Thank you all for coming, everyone. There are DVDs and Schisms in the lobby. Feel free to check them out.
Thank you, Jim Words, everybody. Jim did a great job Big thank you to Edinboro University for hosting us. Please, if you love the movie, tell everyone about it, because our work has really just begun. We want as many people as possible to see it. Oh, and we have our next screening booked. It's going to be in Croatia on May 12th, which is awesome. We'll be announcing more soon. It's going to show at the Erie Art Museum in a couple months, so just watch our sites and tell all your friends and family to see the movie and request the movie. After party is at the Edinboro Hotel Bar.